First off, giving honor and glory to Yahweh and to His Son Yahweh Shah. We are the Battle Axes of the Most High, just coming at you again to get built up and edified in the Most High God name. All praise to the Most High, first of all, for just giving us a platform to spread this gospel and spread this truth across all four corners. Thank you for all the brothers and sisters that tune in each and every day to get built up in the scriptures. Thank you for the captains, the leadership to continue to give us His word, so that we continue to try to magnify the Most High God's name in its entirety, right? First off, we're going to get the title of the class. Title of the class is Do It With Joy or Not At All. You know, getting close to Passover, like you said, I mean, Capt is bringing out great classes, Lord, brothers in the truth, brothers in our camp bringing out great classes, just going into doing it with joy, right? I mean, hey, because when we get into this truth, like, hey, we so joyous, we finding out who we are, learning who we got to be. And, you know, we grind so hard to try to learn this stuff, and then once we feel like we got too much, it's like, well, shoot, I don't need the Lord no more. I don't need to do these things no more. Hey, well, shoot, the law done away with, just like any other Christian counterpart would say, right? But the thing is, we got to realize, you know, hey, this is a marathon, right? This ain't no, hey, this ain't just no 100 where you can just run and you win. Hey, this is an ongoing thing. Matter of fact, I had to get that precept too, man, but later on in the class. But like, hey, when we come into this truth, we got to understand that, hey, we got to go through this thing, right? We got to see it from the beginning and we got to see it to the end. Shalom, shalom, bro, shalom. You know, when we come into this thing, man, we got to do it with joy, right? Because, hey, ultimately, if we don't do it with joyfulness and gladness, we're serving the Lord, that's how we fall into the curses, right? So, that being said, first precept we're going to go to is the book of Deuteronomy 28 and 46. Classic precepts. I mean, hey, these are one of the main identifiers of showing who we are as a people, right? Well, 47, Salaki. The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 47. Because thou servest not the Lord thy God with joyfulness and with gladness of heart, for the abundance of all things. Like, that's the first thing, because we got to think about it. Even back then, during these times, the Most High God led our people out of Egypt, gave them food and water, made sure their clothes didn't go bad, you know, their shoes didn't mess up at all. And we took advantage of that. Shalom, 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 bro. We took advantage of that, right? We was like, oh, it'd been better for us to be in Egypt, right? We took those things, even modern day now. You got to think about it. The Most High God put us all in our position that we are, right? Whether it be a captain, whether it be a brother on the up and coming, or maybe a brother that's fresh in the truth, or likewise for the sisters, right? Single or married, right? He puts us in his positions, right? To be for the best position that he thinks you fit in, right? Not the one that you want to be in, right? Gives you nice thing, nice car, maybe nice shoes. But these are all good things, right? Or even just learning about the truth first and foremost. He said, hey, because you serve not the Lord thy God with joyfulness and gladness of heart, right? Because some of us are not content with the things that we have, right? I mean, of course, in this truth, you should always strive for more, try to, you know, get built up more and more each and every day. That's the thing. But, you know, when it comes forward this world, hey, we can give a damn about whatever's in this world, right? We got to worry about what the Most High God told us to do, what we got to do to get out this captivity, and what we got to do to get out these curses, right? That's the main thing we got to learn, because, hey, he say, hey, lay not up your treasures, right, where earth and moth do corrupt, right? But it said, verse 47, I'll read it again. It said, because thou servest not the Lord thy God with joyfulness and with gladness of heart, for the abundance of all things, right? Verse 48, therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee. We got to understand, guess what? The Most High God put us in this position, right? We didn't want to accept him. We wanted to work with the heathen. We wanted what they had, even though we had the best thing on the planet. Guess what? He was like, okay, well, guess what? You want to know what they do? Guess what? You're going to be in that position. Guess what? You supposed to be ruling the earth, but guess what? Since you wanted to see what the tail is like and you the head, guess what? You're going to serve your enemies, right? He said, hey, it said, for which the Lord shall send against thee, Salaki, in hunger, right? Anything, it don't matter what we is. Hungry, guess what? You hungry, you want a late night snack, where you go? You got to go to Esau place, right? Mom and pop store is not open. Guess what? Esau going to make that money 25-8, right? It said, in hunger and in thirst. Guess what? You gonna turn on that water? Maybe you gotta take a shower. Me, I just got off work, right? Guess what? That's Esau water. I gotta pay that bill at the end of the month, right? And in nakedness, guess what? I had to put on clean clothes, right? I had to go to their washing materials, right? Even though Issachar might own some of them buildings, guess what? They have to pay taxes to Esau, right? Or even Elam or whoever it may be, right? To our oppressors, right? And in want of all things. So guess what? Anything that you can think of, Guess what? My phone service, my Wi-Fi, anything that we got to do, right? Anything that we try to put our hand forth to, right? Guess what? In all things, we got to go to them, right? And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. But guess what? Hey, back then that was a physical thing, right? You know what? Us back then, 1611, we know it was 1619, and we know what our issue called counterparts, right? But now we got a spiritual thing on us, right? We stuck in Christianity. We stuck in all these things. Guess what? We're stuck in the mindset of, hey, we don't got to serve the Lord like how he wanted us, right? We can just love the Lord. He know my heart. You know, our Christian counterparts and certain Israelites. Well, the Lord said we didn't have to do that, or I know what I ought to do, but I'm choosing not to because I don't want to. That's going against what I feel, right? And that's what I feel. Guess what? He said, until he have destroyed thee. Guess what? How you feel gonna get you destroyed, right? Falling into those things, right? And we already know, reading on through the curses, guess what? He's gonna go more into explicitly who he's talking about. But that's kind of all I want to get on that, to kind of get the premise of what it is, right? Because that's just one thing. That's two verses out of this whole 68 verses, right? Of these curses, well, the blessings in 15 on down to 68, the curses, right? These are just some of the small things we go through as a nation of people because we don't know how to serve our Lord, our God, right? Or if we do, we choose not to because we're ignorant, right? But the next precept we're gonna go to is 1 John chapter 3, verse 18, right? Because even coming in this truth, I mean, because we bring this out on the streets because, we ask a lot of people, do they love God? And how do you love God, right? We've also got to do about this in the truth, right? Because think about it. We say we know, well, actually, we know how to please the Most High God in this truth, right? A lot of our brothers should know the precepts, how we know what to do, right? Keeping his commandments. But do we always keep his commandments? Do you always read your fringes? Think about it. Are you happy with doing these things, right? Are you happy with coming and gathering with your brethren? Are you happy with studying, trying to show yourself approved to the Most High God, right? Are you happy in doing these things? Because guess what? It's all for naught, right? Can't be lukewarm in this thing, right? This is the book of 1 John chapter 3, verse 18. It said, my little children, let us not love in word, neither in tongue, but in deed and in truth. Guess what? We can't love in word, right? We can't just say, oh, I love him. He know me. I talked to him yesterday, right? Or I read the Bible front to back. It said neither in tongue. I mean, hey, guess what? It sound good. Or even, some people actually think they can speak in tongue, right? I mean, hey, it said, let us not live in word, nor in tongue, neither in tongue. Because guess what? Those things are for naught, right? That's just vanity. It said, but in deed and in truth. But guess what? If I know I love you, I'm going to show you that, right? It said, guess what? Hey, I can show you better than I can just tell you, right? I can talk a good game, but if I'm not willing to show that for you, then guess what? My love probably ain't that strong for you, right? It said, but indeed, what's them deeds that you can do? The commandments, right? You want to know you love me? Hey, guess what? Keep my commandments, right? 1 John 5 and 3, right? It said, and in truth, guess what? What's the truth? The commandments, right? Psalms 119, 142. Guess what, man? You can't get away from these commandments, right? And this is how we serve the Lord, with joyfulness and gladness, right? We can't just serve him with word to mouth, right? Lip to mouth service ain't going to get you nowhere, right? But it's in the pit, right? But next precept I'm going to go to is the book of Sirach, chapter 2, verse 1. I know brothers been kind of bringing this mud out, and I kind of been meditating on it a little bit. Because this thing it's heavy, man. Because this is another thing about us not doing it with joyfulness and gladness, right? Because once we get into this truth and things come and happen to us, right? We really don't know why. And we don't understand, like, oh, well, I know God now. Why is this happening to me, right? And we're going to get a little bit more into it. But, like, hey, this is what the Most High, hey, guess what? This is what the prophets say. Guess what? Because they went through the same thing we went through. If they went through worse things that we went through, right? Persecution, death, they went through a lot of things. And guess what? They still claim the Most High God, right? To the fullest extent, right? And never cursed them at all. But this is the book of Sirach, chapter 2, verse 1. It said, my son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation, right? This is one of the first precepts I learned when I got in the truth. Because guess what? Me coming to the truth, I had to prepare my soul for temptation. Because guess what? Them demons going to come out to try to keep you from being in this truth, right? People of the world going to try to keep you from being in this truth because you're going contrary to what you used to be. You used to be that dude. You used to be that guy. Mr. Smoke some. Mr. Come drink till he can't drink no more, right? Mr. Come pop out and, hey, come do something with this female, do something with that. Or come do something with this dude, do something with that, right? Let's go pop out. But guess what? Now I'm popping out to the Sabbath. What's the Sabbath, right? Well, I'm popping out to the street to feed my people with this word, right? Now you're a totally different person. Guess what? The world is contrary to that thing, right? And these are the type of things that you're going to go through, right? This is that temptation, right? Because it's going to try to lead you back into your old ways, back to your own people, right? But verse 2, it says, set thy heart aright and constantly endure and make not haste in the time of trouble. Guess what? When things get hard, don't run. Because guess what? If you faint-hearted, guess what? Faint-hearted people ain't going to make it. Guess what? Even back then in the wars. Hey, I'm going to go get it too in Deuteronomy. Guess what? He said, if you faint-hearted, return back home unless, hey, it's spread to somebody else, right? And they become faint-hearted too. Because think about it, bro. If we can't do it with joyfulness, we can't do it at all. Because guess what? If you ain't doing it with joy, you're going to do it. Oh, well, maybe I can get away with today not doing it. But guess what? If you're happy to do something, right? You happy to get on your phone. You happy to go make some money so you can go cash that check, right? You gotta serve the Lord, right? This is our first occupation, right? Like even how I pull, like we was reading today in Camp 101, they said, hey, Sirach 39, they said, hey, this is your occupation, right? This is a job. This ain't something, and then we forget that this is a job. Because think about it, we gotta work this job so that we can get that ultimate paycheck forever, right? But verse 3, cleave unto him and depart not away. Because think about it, we lean onto the Lord. Guess what? Now with our own understanding, guess what? He's going to lead us out of all things, right? And it said that thou mayest be increased at thy last end. Because guess what? He who endures to the end, hey, the same shall be saved, right? Verse 4, whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully. He didn't say, I got to read that again. It said, whatsoever is brought upon thee. Think about it. Anything you can go through, guess what? Rent might not be getting paid. Guess what? Water might be off. Guess what? Lights might be off. I mean, we gotta address some of the things that's more common in our nation, right? Guess what? Baby mama, baby daddy. Some people even in this truth have to deal with those things, right? Guess what? You might not have enough, right? Affordable home, health care, insurance, the job not working out. Hey, guess what? You in that position for a reason. Figure out your reason, figure out your purpose, and let the Most High God fight your battles, right? Spiritual and carnal, right? It said, whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully. Because guess what? The Most High God, if he chastening, we're going to get that precept next. That's literally my next precept. Because guess what? If he chastening you, guess what? He dealing with you, right? As a son or daughter. And it said, and be patient without our change to a lower state. Because guess what? That lower state can either be fit that carnally. Guess what? Your funds might not be looking right, but that's why you got brothers and sisters that's going to cheerfully and do it in charity and thanksgiving to give to you, right? In them arms, right? Guess what? That's what we're supposed to do with each other as a nation of people. That's your neighbor. Guess what? You help your neighbors, right? Guess what? This is what we do, right? Or even spiritually, like you feeling down, right? You feel them spirits really jumping on you. Go to your brother to build you up with these precepts, right? To put you back in a joyous mood, right? Because guess what? We can all be in a good time celebrating these feasts, but when it comes to that 7 days a week before the feast and all this, guess what? We got to keep this same energy, right? Because guess what? We don't want to carry old leaven into those feasts, right? We can't just think we coming in there with some new leaven. Guess what? You coming in there with an old man. And that old man would have been mad that whole week prior to, right? We can't do that, right? Verse 5, it said, for gold is tried in the fire, an acceptable man in the furnace of adversity. Guess what? When you're going through your worst time, that's when God looking at you the most. He going to see what you're going to do. See if you're going to bend, break, or fold, right? He going to see if you... I wonder if he really going to stop serving with joyfulness and gladness or heart. Let's see. He read Job, but let's see if he really like Job. Or let's really see if he like Abram. Let's see if he really like Isaac. Let's see if he's going to give up his son, right? Let's see if he really going to go put him over there. Go let him die. Go sacrifice him. His only son. It's okay. Go do it. Let's see if you're going to do it joyfully, right? Like, can a lot of people do that? Hey, I got to get, personally myself, get built up for these things, right? But we know Jacob troubles come, like, what will you really be trying to do to make sure that you pleasing the Lord, but also trying to do things to escape persecution, escape dying, right? But guess what? We're going to die in this truth. But are you going to take it joyfully? Or are you just going to be like, I'll eat the pork? Guess what? They still might kill you, right? But hey, verse 6, believe in him, and he will help thee. Guess what? We can't trust him, man. Like, even how Captain Yar was bringing out that past Wednesday. Guess what? We trusting in people who can't save us. The Most High God is going to be the one who saves us, right? But guess what? If we ain't doing it with joy, we don't believe that. It said, and he will help thee. Order thy way aright and trust in him. This is where we got to lean our trust to, Israel. Hey, it said, ye that fear the Lord, wait for his mercy, and go not aside, lest ye fall. Because a lot of us, hey, some brothers come into this truth, they get into it all joyfulness and gladness of heart, They know the fear of the Lord. They waited, but guess what? They patience run thin, right? And guess what? I'm gonna jump down actually, because guess what? That patience is gonna come a long way, man. Hey, let's see. Verse 14, Salaki. No, verse 13. Not verse 12, Salaki. Woe be to the fearful hearts and faint hands and the sinner that goeth two ways. Think about it. When you come into this truth, you got to serve the Lord one way. And guess what? That's the law, statutes, and commandments, right? Can't go no other way, right? No man having put his hand to the plow and looking back is fit for the kingdom, straight like that. Hey, you can't regret none of that. You got to be happy doing this. Guess what? Because you know you're doing the right thing, right? This is how we got to do this, right? Woe unto him that is faint-hearted, for he believeth not. Therefore shall he be not defended. Guess what? The Lord ain't going to defend you if you faint-hearted and you weak, right? Because he's not bringing no soft and tender and delicate people into the kingdom. Hey, that's in the curses, right? For women and men. Guess what? Children as well. Because guess what? The men raising the children to be like that. Or the women raising them children to be like that, right? Not the Israelites. Because we were doing this with joyfulness and gladness. Because look, guess what? We got to be happy whooping them kids like Maccabee said. Because guess what? We saving their soul from hell, right? We got to be happy changing ourselves for the better, right? Like Capt say. Verse 14. Woe unto you that have lost patience. What will you do when the Lord shall visit you? What you going to do? Like, what are you going to do? What are you truly going to do? Guess what? You done lost patience. You done stopped doing it with joyfulness and gladness of heart. Guess what? You might be in this truth. You might go to every Sabbath, go to every feast day, put on a fake front. But guess what? When the Lord come to you and come see what you been about, be like, hey, why ain't you been doing this joyfulness and gladness? Why you been faking the front? What you going to do? You going to lie to him? Because he know you. And this is a cut to me. This is a cut to all my brothers and sisters. Because guess what? I know sometimes on them Saturdays you don't want to get up. But you go to work on Esau. You go to work for Esau. Or you really don't want to give alms. But guess what? You're gonna go do something else. You're gonna go get them fingernails done. Not saying you can't treat yourselves. Ladies nor men can't get no cuts, nothing like that. Can't get no shoes, nothing like that. I'm not going on about none of that. But you got to think about it. We got to take care of ourselves, right? We got to know that, hey, we get this building right here. Guess what? Everything else gonna fill its way out, right? Guess what? You keep putting in hey, one of them sisters, guess what? You might be helping a sister. She might have just finished nail tech school or whatever it's called. Guess what? She might do them nails. Or me, myself, I cut her. And guess what? You got a barber, right? Hey, guess what? And these are things that come with it. We're coming together with your brethren, right? Because I'm happy to cut my bruised hair. Anytime. Anytime. I don't mind that, right? But when we forget these things, man, we lose patience. Guess what? We fall for them things, right? But next precept we're going to go to is Hebrews chapter 12, verse 5. Because even when I was going into that, guess what? If you're getting chastened, guess what? You should be happy with that, right? He said, take cheerfully whatever is brought upon you, right? Because this is why, man. The book of Hebrews chapter 12, verse 5. And ye have forgotten the exhortation of Salaki, verse 6. From whom? No, Salaki, verse 5, right? And ye have forgotten the exhortation which speaketh unto you as unto children. My son, despise not thou the chastening of the Lord, nor faint when thou art rebuked of him. Guess what? When you brought to that lower state, or guess what? When you get rebuked in this truth, or guess what? When you get corrected, Lord, by yourself, by your own spirit, or guess what? By a captain, or by another brother, or by another sister, don't let that take away your joy, right? Because guess what? Open rebuke is better than secret love, right? I love you so much that I'm going to show you that. Show you where you're going off. Because guess what? I want to see you make it to the kingdom, right? That's that real love. Guess what? I don't want to just be your friend. I want to see you make it. So if I'm telling you wrong, guess what? Take it with joyfulness and gladness of heart. Let's Matthew 18 and 15. Let's see where I was really off, right? Guess what? You love me, I love you. Well, let's do this joyously, right? Guess what? Let's not have no strife and envy in our heart when we do these things, right? It says, nor faint when thou rebukest him, right? Verse 6, from whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth, and scourgeth every son whom he receiveth. Guess what? You gonna catch some licks. You gonna catch some hell when you come to serve the Lord, right? Because guess what? Now you starting to love him. Guess what? Now he finna start to love you back even more. Guess what? That means he finna get on you some more, right? Because guess what? When you was being ignorant in the world, he was like, okay, they ignorant. I'm still going to get them some, right? Because guess what? They still in sin. But guess what? Now that you know you can do right and you choose not to do right, guess what? You're going to get a little bit more. Because guess what? I want you to get right. Because I can see that potential in you. I chose you out of these people. I wanted you to get right. That's what we got to do. And we got to understand that the Lord is doing that for us, right? We got to be happy that the Lord even chose us from another nigga down the street, another female walking down the corner, right? To be this princess now, to be this king on the earth, right? A literal king, to learn about who you are, right? We should be happy for these things, right? But we lose track of the kingdom, right? When we get lost in this world. Verse 7, if ye endure chastening, guess what? If you stay joyous in this thing when things are brought upon you, right? God dealeth with you as with sons. But this is the only reason, guess what? If he chasten you and you be like, man, I don't know why the Lord doing this. Man, I'm done with this truth. I'm done with the Israelite. I'm done praying to him. I'm done reading his book. Guess what? He ain't dealing with you with a son. Guess what? You just a little bad, hard-headed Negro who he whooped. And guess what? He ain't coming over no more. It said, God dealeth with you as with sons. For what son is whom the Lord chasteneth not, right? Guess what? Even bring it to today. Guess what? If your parents wasn't whooping you back then, you know you was a bad Negro, they didn't love you. They wanted to see where you was gonna end up at, right? They wanted to see where you was gonna fall, right? See you in prison, see you in jail, see you murdering, robbing, killing, stealing, right? Guess what? That's what they expected out of you. Oh, he ain't gonna do nothing. He ain't gonna do nothing anyway. I don't see no future in him. But the Lord see your future, right? You gotta see these things, man. But if ye be without chastisement, whereof are all partakers, then are ye bastards and not sons. Guess what? If he ain't dealing with you, guess what? You feel like you're in this truth, la-di-da-di-da. Guess what? You might be one of these bastards and not sons or daughters, right? Because guess what? Lord said, you come to serve me, prepare your soul for temptation, right? Because you never served me with joyfulness and gladness of heart, right? But now you just come into the truth and you still think you can do that? Guess what? The Lord got something for you. He'll let you think that, right? He'll choose your delusion, right? Because you really ain't serving joyfulness and gladness of heart. So he ain't even dealing with you. That's why he'll let you have all that, right? Because guess what? Lukewarm people ain't going to make it either, right? But next precept I'm going to get is Philippians. Even where Ehud brought out. Philippians chapter 2, verse 12. You know, we were talking about that in Camp 101. Hey, brothers always pull the same precept during the week. Because, hey, it's always the same spirits roaming around. Hey, that's how it go, though, right? But we just got to keep doing this work and do the will of the Father to bring this out for our nation and for our people, right? And for ourselves, right? The book of Philippians chapter 2, verse 12. Wherefore, my beloved, as ye have always obeyed, not as in my presence only, but now much more in my absence, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. Hey, coming to this truth, guess what? We got to serve the Lord. And guess what? We got to work out our own salvation, brothers and sisters, whether we like it or not. Because can't nobody make it to the kingdom for us, right? Guess what? We can't. We can't, man. So we got to remember these things, man. We got to remember the kingdom. We got to remember the Father told him, hey, you got to work this out for yourself. You can't do it no other type of way. Because guess what? You either going to serve him with joyfulness and gladness, or you're going to get it in the lake of fire. Hey, he going to be happy either way it go, right? To reward the wicked doers or reward his saints, right? Verse 13, for it is God which worketh in you, both to will and to do of his good pleasure, right? Because that is ultimately up to him, right? However he see fit, however you feel like, hey, you be on that balance beam, right? But verse 14 is the point. Do all things without murmurings and disputings. Because, hey, that's not joyfulness and gladness if you murmur and disputing because you got a problem with it. Guess what? You don't feel like doing it. Well, why I did it last week. I just did that. It don't matter. It don't matter. Guess what? Christ didn't do that when the scribes and Pharisees came up to him scoffing every 10 minutes. Man, Peter, you go deal with it. Man, John, you gonna deal with it. I just dealt with these niggas yesterday. Guess what? You don't think he was irritated? You don't think about it. He knew that Judas was gonna betray him. And guess what? He still did everything that he had to do with joyfulness and gladness all the way to the end, right? Because that's the type of person you got to be. Even when you know some things might be right, do it with joyfulness and gladness for the Lord's sake. Not for your own sakes, right? Because we got to remember who we're doing this for, right? It said, do all things without murmurings and disputings. Even if you got to go do something for a brother, do something for a sister, do something for the congregation, do it with joyfulness and gladness of heart. Because think about it. Yes, you're doing it for those brothers and sisters right there that you can see. But guess what? You're doing it for the Father. Guess what? You feed in the congregation, right? Every Sabbath, sisters that come in and put in that work, right, to prepare the food for the class, right? Guess what? You're doing that for the Father. You feeding them people, right? You feeding their spirits, right? Because guess what? They might be the only thing that done ate that week. You never know what brothers and sisters going through. So what you doing, hey, you benefiting a lot of brothers and sisters. Brothers that give alms, right? That might have been that extra 20, 30, 60, $100 that somebody could have used, right, for gas or even food for their children, right? These are a lot of things we got to understand that, hey, we do this with joyfulness and gladness of heart, man. Hey, guess what? Hey, ain't no telling what the Most High God to do for us, right? Verse 15, but this is why we do it without murmuring disputings. It said that ye may be blameless and harmless, the sons of God, without rebuke, in the midst of a crooked and perverse nation. This is how we got to look. This is how we got to walk, and this is how we got to look, right? Because guess what? If we walking with wisdom and walking in honesty and truth, guess what? They're going to be like, well, damn, who is these people? They got on fringes, got these little tassels, but they walking upright. They love each other no matter what. Nigga, we just killed 3 of your people, but you happy? Why? Well, guess what? Because you in a crooked and perverse nation, right? A nation that got this world flipped upside down, right? But you the sons of God. You understand. You're going to take this with joyfulness and gladness to the end, right? Among whom ye shine as lights in the world. Hey, man. That's straight like that, man. We got to shine, Israel. Guess what? Even when you OT, when you smile, right? Guess what? That's shining. That's your joy, right? You can't walk around just mugging because you look like a regular nigga. Just with fringes on, right? That's it, man. At verse 16, holding forth the word of life, that I may rejoice in the day of Christ, that I have not run in vain, neither labored in vain. Because guess what? Hey, guess what? We're doing all this work. But guess what? If you murmur and disputing, guess what? It's all for naught. He said, do these things so that, hey, you didn't run in vain. You didn't take this whole journey for nothing. You didn't labor in vain. You didn't go to the streets for no reason. If you ain't doing with joyfulness and gladness, right? It's all for naught. But guess what? If you are, this is why you rejoice in the day of Mashiach's return, right? That's it on that, man. Next precept we're going to get is Proverbs chapter 30, verse 8. Got about 2 more precepts and I'm going to get out of here, man. But hey, even how I was saying, when brothers and sisters come into the truth, to keep brothers and sisters in the spirit and to keep y'all in that joyous mood, right? Because y'all know it's coming into studying, and a lot of brothers and sisters didn't have good study habits even when they was in the world, right? Or even coming into the truth now, right? And to keep you in a good spirit, to keep you like, I can read once a day and be happy. I could read 2 chapters a day, right? Whatever the Lord put on your spirit to do, so that you continue to be happy and joyous while you do it, right? This is what you do, right? But this is the book of Proverbs, chapter 30, verse 8. I started 7. 2 things have I required of thee, deny them not before I die. Remove far from me vanity and lies. Give me neither poverty nor riches. Feed me with food convenient for me. I mean, this is also going into carnally, but hey, this is spiritually thing too. It's like it. Spiritual things too, right? It said, hey, guess what? Remove from me vanity and lies, right? Don't show me this American dream, right? Show me the kingdom, right? Don't show me Cedric Bozier. Hey, show me the Most High God and His Son Yahweh, right? In that right way, right? Show me that Revelation 1 and 14 Christ, right? And guess what? Give me neither poverty nor riches. Guess what? Don't make me so puffed up in this truth. Don't give me all this wisdom because you know how I'm going to get, right? Or don't feed me too much to where I feel like, hey, what am I even in this truth for? I could have been a regular nigga and that is new this. Guess what? Give me food convenient for me, right? Feed me with the things that's convenient for me so that I continue to be happy. I'm on a stead-based diet, and guess what? I'm happy with this, right? I'm happy with everything that I'm eating day by day, right? It said, lest I be full and deny thee. Because guess what? You eat too much, you be miserable. Now you mad, like, oh, why did I eat so much? Why did I do this? But guess what? You eat enough sufficient for you. Guess what? You happy with that. Like, ooh, I'm content. I'm happy with what I just did today, right? And it said, and deny thee. Guess what? You deny the Father, right? Oh, you gave me too much. Oh, I don't even need this nigga no more. I don't need the Lord. I just did that myself. And guess what? You forget that, man. And it said, and say, who is the Lord, right? That's ignorant, bro. But that's what our people to do, right? Who is the Lord? Who brought our, oh, who is the Lord, man? The Lord right here, this golden calf. But nigga, that's these racks right here, right? Nigga, that's that Bentley outside, nigga. That's the Lord, right? And nigga, I'm the Lord around here. Like, we get beside ourselves, right? It said, or lest I say, so like, or lest I be poor and steal and take the name of my God in vain. Hey, guess what? You can be poor in wisdom, and guess what? You want to steal. Guess what? You want to take somebody else's wisdom. or you want to try to pervert something else, or you want to just mingle away. And guess what? If I can't have it, guess what? I'm going to try to take all your wisdom. I'm going to lead you this way. Guess what? This ain't wisdom. This is wickedness. But guess what? I want you to know it too. And guess what? Hey, this is going as cornerly as well too, man. Because guess what? The Most High, guess what? You make poor and you make the rich, right? But when you are broke to that lower state, man, don't fall into those things, right? Don't fall into that vanity. Thinking that, oh, I need to steal, I need to kill, I need to get high by any means. Man, you trust in the Lord and you get around your congregation, they'll feed you for you, right? Hey, I know for dang sure you get at least one meal every Sabbath, right? Hey, just start getting like our forefathers, start fasting, man. But on a serious note, man, hey, we gotta understand these things, right? That, hey, we can't take the Lord God's name in vain, man. We got to take everything with joyfulness and gladness, right? Eat food sufficient for us, right? So that we can be happy, right? Both spiritually and carnally, right? So I'm going to get a precept on that. Let's go to Proverbs 25 and 16. The book of Proverbs, chapter 25, verse 16. Hast thou found honey? Eat so much as is sufficient for thee. Guess what? That honey, that's going into that sweet word, right? Because guess what? Hey, it tastes good. I mean, hey, it'd be bitter but sweet, right? Because guess what? You finding out who you are, finding out what happened to our people. Guess what? You find out what you got to do. It might be bitter at first because your flesh is weak, but it's sweet because it's that sweet savor at the end for that land that flowed with literally milk and honey, right? Guess what? We got to understand them things, right? Eat so sufficient. Eat what you need, right? Get what you need. Don't be a gluttonous, right? Don't eat too much or don't starve yourself out, man. You know what your body and your spirit need. Hey, give it what it need, right? So you can be happy, right? It said, lest thou be filled therewith and vomited. Don't eat too much, man. Or guess what? Even if you don't eat enough, you'll get nauseous and throw up. You ain't got a lot to throw up, but you throw it up, right? Guess what, man? This is what you have to do when you come into this walk so you can continue to serve the Lord with joyfulness and gladness, right? Because if not, don't do it at all, man. Because guess what? If you don't want to, guess what? Just stay in them curses. Keep serving your oppressor. Keep doing these things, right? But of course, you don't want us to do that, right? But hey, you want to serve with the Lord with joyfulness and gladness so we can break these curses, right? But, I want to get that precept. Okay, I need to get that. Salaki, Israel. I wrote a precept before I even started the class. It kind of hit my mind. Let me get Luke chapter 14, verse 28. I ain't going to read all down. But, because when we come into this truth, we got to do the same thing. I was going to get it before I even got to it. But I'm going to get it nevertheless. The book of St. Luke chapter 14, verse 28. For which of you intending to build a tower, sitteth not down first, and counteth the cost, whether ye have sufficient to finish it. Guess what? You know how much your body can take. You know how much it's going to take for you to stay in this truth, serve the Lord, joyfulness and gladness, and not fall out of this truth. You know what it's going to take for you, Israel. Hey, man, woman, child, you know what it's going to take, right? To be that father in the household, that mother in the household, till Mashiach makes his return, right? Guess what? You know what it's going to take. Count the cost. Know what you got to do. Guess what? This is not a sprint. Brothers and sisters, you don't have to know everything by tomorrow. It's good that you learn each and every day, but guess what, man? You don't just try to take a test every day. You got to study a little bit. This is why you study, to show yourself approved so that you can be happy and always have a reason to give your, the reason for your hope, right? This is why, man. But Salaki, man, verse 29, it says, less happily, after he had, happily, because he was happy to lay this foundation. Oh, yeah, I'm going to build this house. I'm going to build my temple up. I'm a temple. I'm going to build it up. Happily, I'm going to do this. I'm turning. After he had laid the foundation, guess what? Christ is that foundation. You don't find out. Oh, yeah, you lit, right? And it said, and is not able to finish it. All that behold it began to mock him. Guess what? They seen your light at first. They seen, oh, man, that boy know you're Israelite. Esau like, damn, that boy Israelite. People in his house like, that boy done changed. He ain't smoking and drinking no more. He ain't coming to the club no more. What's going on? Guess what? They begin to mock him. Ah, never mind. This nigga tripping. That's just a little phase. Don't let this be no phase, Israel. Let this be a lifestyle, right? No phasing, man. Straight lifestyle, right? Verse 30, saying, this man began to build and was not able to finish. Guess what? Don't be that person, Israel. Do not be this person, man. Know what you got to do to be sufficient so you can serve the Lord, joyfulness and gladness. That way, when the Mashiach makes his return, he can say, good job, well served, man. Guess what? hey, or get beamed up. Ultimately, man, we gotta understand this, man. Gotta be happy, Israel. Got to be. Hey, because if we not, what we doing it for? What are we doing it for, man? Got to, man. But next precept, Salaki. We're gonna Salaki. Actually, with that, we're gonna say shalom, man. Thank you for brothers and sisters tuning in. Thank you, man. I know it's late, hey, but it's early morning. People getting ready to go to work. Just got off work. Gonna get ready to shut it down, man, and get back to it tomorrow. But guess what? Nevertheless, hey, I'm taking everything with joyfulness and gladness, right? I mean, hey, I literally get happy so I can come home, man. I be a little tired at work, but I be happy to get off so I can feed my family, right? Feed the flock, right? That I'm even in a position to do these things, right? Hey, shalom, bro. Shalom, shalom. Hey, guess what? To even feed my, to be in this position to have this information so that I can give it to my people, because we don't study this for ourselves. We study for all those that seek learning, right? Sirach 33:7, right? 17, Salaki. And guess what? This is what we do it for, right? Because this is what we're happy to do, right? Happy to see a brother come into this truth. Happy to see a sister come into this truth. Coming from a hood rat to a modest princess, right? Or to a modest wife. Seeing a nigga coming from a nigga to coming to a king, right? This is what we should be happy to see our people growing, right? As a nation of people, right? Because if not, guess what? You're just another tender nigga that's mad at his brother to see him win, right? And we don't want to be like that, Israel. But with the battle axes, we always finish with a law. Oh, thank you to the brothers that do arms through Cash Out. I can't think of the other one. But I know Capt, y'all always mess it up. I just can't think of it, man. Thank you for the cash. Oh, the GoFundMe, Salaki. The Cash App, the GoFundMe. Those funds are really being greatly used, and I appreciate that. Oh, I think that's Captain Jerubbaal. Passover, April 5th through the 12th, man. Brothers and sisters that's in the congregation, get your fees in. If not, talk to brothers and sisters. Guess what? We'll be happily, to help brothers and sisters out. Try to do what we can, because guess what? This is what we do, right? As Israel, right? We all gonna help each other so that the Lord can see these things and be happy with us as we happy with each other, right? Even like how you said, like, comment, subscribe. Hey, push this truth to the four corners of the earth so that we can get out of this captivity, man. Because guess what? Some brothers, hey, we gotta keep on being happy, man, because hey, this thing could run out, man. And you want to be happy when the Mashiach makes return, because guess what? No man knows that hour, not even themselves. So we gotta be happy all the time. You better go to sleep smiling, wake up smiling, right? But the law we're gonna get today is Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 1. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 30, verse 1. And it shall come to pass, when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse, which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among the nations, among all the nations, whether the Lord thy God have driven thee, and shalt return unto the Lord thy God, and shalt obey his voice, according to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children, with all thine heart, and with all thine soul. So guess what? All these blessings and curses, wherever we at, whether it been Texas, Orlando, Memphis, shout out Brother Yaakov. Guess what? Even where you going? Guess what? Across the UK, across anywhere, right? Guess what? When we get to recall these things, guess what? We start learning about our heritage, and we got to, make in mind these things. Guess what? We come back to serving the Lord with joyfulness and gladness of heart, right? Guess what? This is the most I got to say that will happen, right? Guess what? The things that you learned this day, you read about the blessing, you read about the curses. But guess what? Whenever you is in your captivity, the Lord say he going to show you something. He going to show you who you are. And so what you learning, you start coming back to the laws and commandments, right? With all your heart and all your soul, right? Meaning you happy to do these things, right? Verse 3, that then the Lord thy God would turn thy captivity. Guess what? He'll flip that switch, man. He'll make you show you why you in captivity, why what's going on. Because think about it, now we know the why. Back then we didn't know the why. Why is this happening to me, Lord? Why do I have to keep going to work? Guess what? We got to serve the Lord. Hey, we got to serve these heathen, right? For an abundance of all things, right? We got to work. Our feet have no rest. We understand these things now, right? But guess what? We happy because guess what? Esau gonna get what they deserve. Elon gonna get what they deserve. Ham gonna get what they deserve. All these people, Moab, all these people gonna get what they deserve in due time, right? Guess what? We got to take these chastening, right? As good women and children, right? Guess what? We have to take these things and be happy with it, right? It said, then the Lord thy God will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations, whither the Lord thy God hath scattered thee. Man, you can read that whole thing down, man. Man, hold on. I'm trying to see if I even want to read one more. Salaki Israel. Nah, I ain't gonna go out and read the whole thing, but hey, guess what? This is what he'll do. He'll gather us all, right? When the Mashiach make a return, guess what? He gonna gather all of us around, right? And guess what? It ain't happened yet. Hey, guess what? When it does happen, guess what? We all gonna be happy, right? But we gotta start it now, right? It start today. That way tomorrow can be, hey, tomorrow's not promised, but guess what? If you can make the best preparation for it, then we'll try to do that, right? With joyfulness and gladness of heart, right? But with that, we say shalom. All you brothers and sisters, have a good rest of y'all day. You know, good morning or good night. And hey, Lord willing, get to next week to do the same thing. Guess what? We're gonna have the same good spirit. We're gonna do it with joyfulness and gladness, right? Till Mashiach makes return, right? But shalom.